Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Busting Silos: How Snowflake Unites Sales and Marketing to Win Its Best Customers, by Hilary Carpio and Travis Henry. Narrated by Teri Schnaubelt. Forward. Unprecedented Growth Through Extraordinary Alignment, by Denise Pearson, Chief Marketing Officer, Snowflake, and Chris Stegnan, Chief Revenue Officer, Snowflake. Snowflake is an extraordinary company, and the alignment we have across our company has been a big contributor to our success. Sales and marketing misalignment is a known issue at many companies. Some corporate leaders even believe that promoting tension between these two departments is beneficial and that it drives healthy competition or motivates top performance. We think that mindset is completely counterproductive. It simply does not work. We're frankly astonished that anyone in the business world still clings to the belief that sales and marketing can operate in silos, much less that they should be intentionally pitted against each other. When Chris first arrived at Snowflake, he remembers burning through an immense amount of mental energy establishing new processes. All he really wanted to do was get out there and sell, but he couldn't do that without any client meetings. After Denise was hired, she made it clear that sales would be the marketing group's #1 customer moving forward. She said her job was to understand his needs and ensure they were met so their joint efforts would build pipeline for Snowflake. We agreed that all of our activities had to ladder up to growth, revenue, and pipeline, and everything else followed from that agreement. The success we've had with our teams stems from unity and trust. From the very start, we've created a culture at Snowflake that views sales and marketing as one big, collaborative, cooperative supergroup that builds pipeline and drives revenue. We've busted silos that exist elsewhere and created the greatest growth machine in the business, capturing logos including Capital One, Under Armour, PepsiCo, and JetBlue. Everything you're about to learn in this book will help you do the same at your own organization. But before you start that journey, we want to offer you some advice from our perspective as passionate silo busters. A productive partnership between sales and marketing starts with a positive relationship between both leaders. If there's friction at the leadership level, that friction will trickle down through teams and infect every aspect of the work. We know that some of you listening may be founders or C-level execs or emerging leaders, so your ability to control this alignment may vary. But it must be said that what we're doing at Snowflake is fueled by the respect we hold for each other across all functions of our organization. We are business partners who have each other's backs, and everyone knows it. That strengthens everything our teams believe, communicate, and execute. To achieve insane alignment between sales and marketing, a key value pillar here at Snowflake, you must first focus on trust. All functional organizations are built on trust. Leaders at any level of either group can work toward getting the basics down, capturing and showing consistent results, and establishing their teams as reliable executors. Doing this lays groundwork for a meaningful partnership to grow. Of course, that partnership will be meaningless if you don't agree that the goal of marketing is to help make selling easier and creating opportunities, and the goal of sales is to turn those opportunities into revenue. The current marketing teams know that if they aren't putting sales first, they're missing the entire point of their work. It's not that marketing is secondary to sales, but that sales is closer to the customer and revenue, and therefore marketing priorities stem from that proximity. Also, Denise believes that marketing is all about eliminating waste. When marketing does something that doesn't even have any impact on the sales process, that's the most wasteful use of resources imaginable, and she has no tolerance for it. For his part, Chris takes Denise's input seriously and collaborates with her on everything from quarterly goals to board presentations. His team is trained to communicate frequently and respectfully with hers and view all of marketing as valued partners. This type of ongoing partnership requires honesty and humility. Everyone involved across both organizations needs to leave their egos at the door and be willing to listen. All of our team members know this. They know that they're working for one of the greatest technology companies on the planet and that the tech world is accelerating. If they want to be part of that acceleration, they've got to get on board. They've got to bust silos, get aligned, and trust each other. Hillary Carpio and Travis Henry, the authors of this book, have been consistent champions of this philosophy, and this book is bursting with their insights into making it work. As wildly effective leaders in account-based marketing, ABM, and sales development, SDR work, respectively, they've proven that marketing and sales teams can go farther and faster when they link arms. As pragmatists, they've taught their people that waste is unacceptable, and all their work should be traced back to revenue generation. And as mentors, consultants, and advisors, they've trained the next generation of marketing and sales leaders to think of everyone across both orgs as part of one big team. And the book they've created is an actionable handbook for building your own end-to-end pipeline generation machine on a foundation of radical alignment. As you listen, you'll learn how to unblock brand new possibilities once you establish that alignment. Every chapter demonstrates why alignment is so impactful, discusses what you can build with that alignment, explains how to activate what you've built, and offers advice on how to scale it up. Continue listening to find out how they did all this at startup speed and enterprise scale and steal their secrets for yourself. They will take you from scrappy first experiments where you can afford to fail fast without risking your neck to scaled-up programs with global reach and an immense amount of automation. And take it from us, the quickest route to extraordinary growth is creating extraordinary alignment between sales and marketing. Introduction. Wide nets and wasted resources. Although it only operated for a little more than 18 months between 1860 and 1861, the Pony Express transformed how Americans communicated. This now legendary system drastically cut the time it took to send mail between the east and west coasts of the United States, sometimes by a factor of 6. Instead of loading envelopes onto hulking ships or lumbering stagecoaches, messages were carried by individual couriers moving swiftly on horseback through a series of checkpoints between Missouri to California. Riders hot-swapped from fatigued horses to fresh ones to maximize speed, stopping only for their own rest and caloric intake. The Pony Express achieved a stepwise advance in communications velocity and reliability by stitching together a coordinated set of motions that worked continuously under very specific circumstances. If one of the waypoints wasn't ready to supply the rider with a fresh horse, or if the waypoints were spread out beyond a day's ride, the entire system would break down. The riders themselves even had to stay under a weight limit of 125 pounds. The horses they chose were specialized for stamina and distance. Before being supplanted by the telegraph, this system worked to reduce the average mail delivery time from coast to coast from multiple months to a 10-day sprint from sender to recipient. Cultivating new business isn't all that different. To achieve real efficacy in today's B2B sales and marketing landscape, you must orchestrate a symphony of content, digital experiences, peer validation, physical mail, in-person events, and the all-important human touchpoints of live conversations and asynchronous messages. And you need to do that at the scale of thousands of unique businesses and tens of thousands of unique humans in those businesses, with each permutation demanding a resonant value proposition that compels action. Generating new business takes follow-through, vigilance, and skill, and it's not something that can ever stop. As individuals who have dedicated our careers to growing B2B revenue as leaders, operators, advisors, and consultants for dozens of companies, we've learned the prospecting motion must be continuous and unbroken. Inbound leads must be triaged in a timely manner, Outbound motions need room to build on themselves over weeks and months, and signals from target accounts can present themselves at any time and vanish just as quickly. Sales teams can't focus exclusively at closing business in the immediate quarter. If they do, they wake up on day one of the next quarter inside a forecasting hole. The hardest part of closing a deal is finding it, so we must always be looking. At Snowflake, one of our mantras is, target the right accounts at the right time with the right message to the right people. Doing this involves complex orchestration and organizational alignment that no single team can create alone. But any team or individual can start the work of alignment at a small scale and build a solid case. Lessons from our past roles and the framework we've constructed at Snowflake have helped us amplify that effort. We've built systems that enable us to address accounts, timing, messaging, and people simultaneously, as have many other corporations. What sets us apart is our ability to do these things in a highly targeted, one-to-one way, as well as a digitally enabled at-scale approach, all while working as one big unified team. Everyone wants to target the right accounts at the right time and deliver the right message to the right people. In this book, we'll talk about how to actually do it, from ideation to execution, at startup speed and enterprise scale. We know how because we've done it. We've created new systems and augmented existing ones to keep the Snowflake sales pipeline full at all times. We've either been in your shoes ourselves or worked with incredible people in your shoes. We know what it's like to stare down a broken strategy and know it can be made better. We also understand the temptation to solve go-to-market GTM problems by paying an expert consultant to come in and make those problems go away. We've even been those consultants, so we know the truth. Real change can and should be driven by tackling the tough work of internal alignment across your GTM teams. What we are proposing in this book is an evolution that builds on the concept of account-based, the strategy where marketing focuses on a specific set of accounts with tailored messaging and content. We will walk you through how to bring your revenue teams together to amplify your impact and ramp up your growth curve. We call this coming together of marketing, sales, and sales development, one team go-to-market, GTM. All this to say that we're speaking from experience, including dealing with our fair share of failures. Both of us have driven change in pipeline generation philosophies and processes for many years. And in the case of our work at Snowflake, we've had the opportunity to build an orchestrated one-team GTM machine that effectively engages the largest organizations in the world and maximizes the odds of landing them as customers. Undoubtedly, we have benefited from the work of predecessors, colleagues, market timing, and an unbelievable product. But we have also worked through the challenges of alignment and pushed the boundaries of what is possible in today's data-driven, technology-enabled world of sales and marketing. Here's how it all got started. A meeting of aligned minds. Hillary was working as a marketing manager at a network security company. Her job was to take a suite of solutions across the organization and develop GTM campaigns that included touch points from all marketing teams, including corporate communications, product marketing, digital marketing, content marketing, and the web team. The company was close to mastering the bill of materials for the one-to-many approach, with well-aligned content, messaging, and delivery. The problem was that despite how well-oiled the machine seemed to be, it wasn't netting the highest-profile, highest-spending customers. Hillary's team needed to narrow their focus to make an impact on a list of key accounts selected by leadership. Doing this would help the company hit their overall revenue targets. Because she's constantly hunting for process improvements and ways to connect cross-functional teams, Hillary attended a conference, learned how Snowflake did account-based marketing, ABM, and brought those ideas back to her employer with a twist. She had developed a reputation for stitching together free and existing technology to expand her impact beyond single human limitations, and that's what she did here. She took what she'd learned from Snowflake, which had a 5-person team, and applied it as a 1-person team by using tech to scale. Since the learnings were designed for a resourced team of multiple people, Hillary modified them and tweaked them to use as a foundation for what she wanted to do, and built her own ideas on top of them, a practice we'll strongly encourage you to do throughout this book. This included pitching to the sales department SDR team to ask for volunteers to participate, and hiring developers out of Romania for $2,000 to help her connect a few key pieces in her tech stack. She built up her ABM practice and refined it. Now able to target thousands of accounts with relevant messaging and content, with a subset of those messages teed up for SDR outreach as a team, she had results within a few weeks showing a 122% increase in SDR open rates, 15 times the industry standard meeting conversion rate, and a 7-fold increase in reply rates. At this point, she and her manager, the VP of Corporate Marketing, Brand and Demand at her company, knew they were on to something. By joining forces with the SDR function, they had cracked the code for taking their existing campaign infrastructure, tailoring it to top accounts, and scaling it. She proved that an account-based approach could be launched successfully regardless of resources. It just required an innovative mindset and bias toward action. Snowflake's ABM experts heard about her innovations and got in touch with her. Inspired by the opportunities available at Snowflake, she later made the leap to lead its ABM function into the next era of the company's scale to IPO and beyond. In her new role, her first priority was to fortify and maximize the relationships between ABM folks and SDRs within the company. Although Snowflake was a big, well-funded organization with existing ABM, sales, and SDR departments, and enthusiastic support from leadership, Hillary saw an opportunity to truly unify these teams. She approached the SDR team with a grand plan of how they could collaborate to prioritize their accounts using intent data, then roll out an end-to-end program. But together, they recognized that her grand plan was too grand, and she needed to scale back and look for one small way they could work together to get the ball rolling. Instead of using intent data to orchestrate outreach to thousands of accounts, they took one person on Hillary's ABM team and equipped them with the right data to partner with an SDR on a list of about 10 accounts. This right-sized partnership worked spectacularly, and Hillary began making plans to scale her efforts slowly and methodically. Even with leadership buy-in and a solid vision, change takes time and requires winning the hearts and minds of cross-functional teams. Meanwhile, Travis had been working in marketing and sales development roles for his whole career and saw a repeating pattern of go-to-market inefficiency at the companies he worked at and consulted for. Marketing generated huge demand at great cost, but had little insight into and direction regarding what was happening with that demand. Often, conversations with marketing leaders would circle back to the same script. There was lots of focus on what the company could do to optimize its campaigns, increase engagement, and drive more leads from the marketing dollars being spent. But Travis saw that these were the wrong issues to focus on, akin to Henry Ford focusing on smithing better horseshoes. Meanwhile, sales teams would regularly pursue the long, difficult road of cold outbound prospecting to individuals who had never been exposed to the company's value proposition. Nobody was dedicated to and brought into converting the demand that marketing was producing into the things that mattered to the business: meetings, opportunities, and revenue. This led him to recognize the power of the sales development representative SDR role. But that also wasn't enough. SDRs themselves were not effective without the direction and guidance of the sales team, who held ultimate responsibility for the accounts that we were all trying to get in front of. He knew that inviting prospects to show up at an event, mingle with their peers, nosh on a scone, and learn about the company's value proposition was necessary, but not sufficient in creating customers. These marketing campaigns had to be paired with a formalized sales follow-up mechanism to get prospects to a real buying cycle. Finding and understanding the SDR function, a specialized role that sits between the scone and the sale, was a breakthrough for him. But his real aha moment came when he saw the power of a well-engineered tech stack in the hands of these purpose-built prospectors. He realized that the output of a single SDR could be multiplied by 5 to 10 times if that person had clean data, the ability to automate the mundane, and a tight interlock with buying signals that they could home in on. So Travis pioneered the function of dedicated sales development operations and enablement, bringing the strategy and process rigor usually reserved for quota-carrying sales teams to the demand-creating SDR teams at the top of the funnel. SDRs are one of the most data-driven, process-oriented, and tool-enabled functions in a go-to-market team, yet most companies do not dedicate an operations professional or team to support them. Travis was brought into Snowflake as an operations leader to shepherd the function's growth from a group of 85 to more than 250 individuals. Once the two of us started talking, we knew we were on the same page, and we were able to hit the ground running because the basic foundation was in place. Snowflake already had sales reps assigned to a list of accounts, ABM was already being used, though not in the way we were envisioning, and leadership had already put an SDR team in place. All of these factors helped us, as did identifying each other as like minds. Hillary had already been getting her team in place and pitching her ideas, but when Travis joined Snowflake, it was like a door had opened for us both, and we could walk through it together. At first, it was just the two of us putting our minds together, brainstorming how we could initiate change at a small scale within the larger company. Both of us had done similar work outside Snowflake with fewer resources and at smaller companies, so we were well positioned to build on our experiences. Now we have the same grassroots mentality, but with stellar teams to support us and massive scale to push us. By creating some early wins together, gathering momentum among open-minded team members, landing some big clients using our strategies, and eventually making the case to leadership that our one-team GTM operation merited ongoing investment, we've built one of the largest teams in the industry. If we can get started with just 2 people, 2 believers in the ABM way and the importance of aligning sales with marketing, so can you. And honestly, if you find the right co-conspirators, you can get a lean little ABM, sales, and SDR machine up and running in about 3 months, with whichever mix of resources you have. Most of the strategies we're about to explain can be enacted with a few eager people and a creative plan to connect existing tech in a smarter way. How this book works. Our job is to help you find your collaborators, experiment with some plays, and decide if this way of working works for you. We know you're perusing this book so you can learn Snowflake's one-team GTM secrets and apply them inside your own company. And we're genuinely excited to share those secrets with you. One-team GTM is a journey and not always a linear one. We wrote this book expecting that some of you will be intimately familiar with some of the concepts we explore and will thumb through them to dive into the nitty-gritty of execution. Others will appreciate a full-spectrum guide from ideation to measurement. We hope you'll use this book as a field guide through your journey. The fact that you chose this book in the first place proves that you believe there's a better, more efficient way to pilot a 21st century sales and marketing operation. You're our kind of people, and we know you can succeed. We wrote this book because we've been where you may be now, discovered through real trial and error how powerful an account-based strategy can be, and figured out how to move from loose idea to cold, hard execution. We also wrote this book because we really, truly want to help you go to market more efficiently and effectively. We want to help you build your own Pony Express for your pipeline and fundamentally transform your GTM processes. We are both process-savvy, operationally minded doers who make the most of whatever resources we've got, and it kills us to know that most sales and marketing departments still spend their time working against each other rather than cooperating. We might not be able to change that dynamic everywhere all at once, but with your help, we can start a groundswell. We can start convincing people that there's a better, more engaging, more profitable way to do business. And that way is together. That said, this book is not an HR manual. We won't be teaching you how to pitch an organizational change to your board or navigate the most toxic personalities in your company. You'll have to manage those interpersonal politics on your own. We also won't be offering solutions for lack of product fit or ways to save a sinking ship. Uniting sales and marketing through a one-team approach is a long play, not a last-ditch effort. This book is for you if you're a doer, an ambitious tactician, a person who wants to make a positive impact regardless of your position in the org chart. The learnings and guidance we've compiled in this book span from strategic plans down to gritty tactical details. We've also structured the book in such a way that you can learn how to build a world-class GTM machine from scratch or skip past topics you've already mastered to level up your operation. In short, we wrote this book for B2B go-to-market leaders of all levels who are looking for a better way to grow revenue. In Part 1, we'll help you build a custom on-ramp to merging sales and marketing and creating your own pipeline-generating machinery at startup speed. While we heartily agree with Snowflake CEO Frank Slootman that execution beats strategy every day of the week, the truth is that you'll set up your account-based program to fail without a solid understanding of what you're trying to achieve. The chapters in this part of the book will challenge your thinking about why your business should change and who should be involved in the conversation. Then in Part 2, we discuss how to get the structures, knowledge, and content in place to fuel that machine. These chapters will help you get a clear picture of which customers you want to bring into the fold and get you building the mechanisms you need to grab their attention. Part 3 dives straight into defining and running your first big plays. We will cover the necessity of great timing and how to solve for it, stitching your content together, and drawing clear swim lanes for your GTM teams to bring everything to life for your target customers. And finally, in Part 4, we walk you through the path to enterprise scale. We will explain how you can ramp up your marketing offers and seamlessly present them to thousands of companies instead of dozens. You will also get a sneak peek at how we see data powering the future of revenue. Nearly every chapter wraps up with a table highlighting what you'll need to do to create a minimum viable or scaled version of the process we've explained. It also summarizes some mistakes to avoid as you dive into execution. As you make your way through this book, we'll give you a bit of advice, plenty of strategies, and a handful of perspectives besides ours so you can see how this marketing magic works inside Snowflake itself. We'll also share insights from our work with other B2B startups and scale-ups. Our hope is that you'll make a note of your favorite passages so you can refer back to ideas you're eager to implement. We're not promising to change your business overnight, but we believe with these tools and ideas, you could get to your first one-team GTM win in as little as a few weeks, changing the trajectory of your go-to market machine over the next 8 to 12 months. It's gonna be a wild ride. Are you ready? Let's go. Part 1. Why? 1. Do the unthinkable. Marry sales and marketing. When a big, sophisticated buyer considers making a purchase, many teams need to work together to enable the sale. We know this because we've been involved in closing deals with some of the biggest logos in the business world, including multinational corporations on the Global 2000 list. We're fortunate to count several of the most complex and multifaceted media and entertainment companies ever to have existed as our clients. Like many multinational corporations on the Global 2000 list, media companies are complicated to sell into for B2B tech orgs like ours. Most are actually composed of multiple, disparate companies, including movie, television, and gaming studios, TV channels, news networks, and music houses. On top of that complexity, these corporations pose other sales challenges, including employment of global teams and execution of regional initiatives, frequent acquisitions, mergers, and joint ventures, use of legacy technology cobbled together with newer offerings, the complications created by executive turnover and evolving vision, disconnected buying cycles that create an excess of resources. For us at Snowflake,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?